This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
Just ahead on Carolina Impact.
It just burns and hurts all the time.
It's the pain of losing someone close in a traffic accident. And what can we all do to make our streets safer?
I'm Todd Wallace, a mentoring program that follows these youngsters until they graduate from high school. That story coming up.
And they make beautiful furniture, but they can also make a one-of-a-kind gift that's literally fit for a queen. Carolina Impact starts right now.
Carolina Impact, covering the issues, people, and places that impact you. This is Carolina Impact.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. Sometimes we can all be way too much in a hurry, especially when we're behind the wheel. We're too far behind schedule to ease up on the gas, too busy to put down our phones, too distracted to pay more attention. And that's not just a problem for us, that's dangerous for everybody around us. And it's devastating for the loved ones of too many traffic fatalities. Carolina Impact's Jeff Saunier sits down with 3 Charlotte families who share their stories of what really happens when someone dies in a traffic accident. Jeff?
Yeah, every time there's a fatal accident on these busy Charlotte streets, we might hear about it for a few days, but then we all sort of, just move on. But the reality is every accident victim is someone's father or mother, someone's sister or brother, their wives or husbands or best friends. And when that accident victim is someone close to you, well, just moving on really isn't an option. What we saw were the headlines.
Back here at home, friends and loved ones stopping by Myers Park today to honor a bicyclist who was hit and killed.
The breaking news stories on TV.
News: one person is dead after a crash on Mount Holly Road. And
the few seconds of accident scene video that all looks sort of the same until it happens to you.
And I'm rushing over there and I'm listening to the radio and I hear fatality on Money Road. And I was like, why didn't he just tell me so I wouldn't be driving so hard?
And I saw where there was an accident around the corner with a fatality of a motorcycle. I screenshot it before I left home.
I noticed my cell phone was exploding with texts from people asking me if I'd heard from Stacy. And that's Stacy. This was about 4 months or so before she died.
This is my son here. These are his wings. This is a motorcycle. The one he had the accident on, and at the bottom it said rest in peace.
I didn't bring a picture because it's embedded in my heart. That'll never go away, what happened that day.
Henry Wheeler lost his brother, Daniel, here on Monroe Road, killed by a car while crossing the street on his way to work.
And the guy had ice on his windshield, and he came over 2 lanes of traffic into the median and hit my brother. So, it's not easy when you go to a scene and you get there and you see somebody mangled and lifeless on that scene, and there's really nothing you can do once they lost that life. It hits you in your heart, but like I was saying earlier, when it's your own family. He was an all-around good person. He would do anything for you to help you. It's hard, We are fighting hard to keep the story alive.
Your life is forever, ever, ever changed.
Gwen Walker lives about a mile from where her son Stephen died, riding his motorcycle here on Mount Holly Road.
So when the police officer called me by my name, I knew. I knew that was him. The girl that hit him was 23 years old. The intersection, it's a large intersection, but there is nothing blocking the stop sign. She was texting. Where the accident was, I pass it 2 or 3 times a day. I passed the site, his motorcycle group, they put a cross, same color as his motorcycle with his name on it. I had to embrace that corner. I had to say, good morning, how are you? Because the corner is not going to go anywhere. So I had to learn to embrace it because that's my way in and out.
I cried so hard. That I couldn't breathe.
Frank Stranick's wife, Stacy, was riding her bike in Myers Park when a car failed to yield the right-of-way and pulled in front of her.
This has been so painful. When you truly love someone, completely and deeply, and they're taken this way, it's just horrid, terrible pain, and not only my life, my children's lives, but it's the beginning of forever, always, every time. Graduations, engagements, weddings, and it's so unfair. I mean, this was so just terrible. A sunny day, clear street. I'm sorry. It's not good enough to say, oh, sorry, I didn't see her.
And that's the other pain that this husband, this mother, this brother also all share.
You find out the person that hit and killed your family, only thing they get is reckless driving and all.
The only thing she got was probation for 1 year. But my son is gone.
Hey, this beautiful woman was senselessly killed here. This is horrid. Please slow down. Please look at where you're going.
You don't want to face that reality.
No. It's very real and it's very final when you have a loved one pass away like that in an accident.
Charlotte joins other cities every November 17th to mark World Remembrance Day, when stories like those remind us all that every time we lose a life on Charlotte streets, lots of other lives are touched. And what we do behind the wheel can help save those lives and also spare those families all that pain. By the way, Charlotte Department of Transportation has a program called Vision Zero, and the goal is to eliminate all fatal and serious injury wrecks on Charlotte streets by the year 2030. Amy?
Thanks, Jeff. The number of fatal crashes in Charlotte should make us all more careful behind the wheel. In 2018, there were about 71 traffic deaths. 2017, the death toll was 74. Over the past 5 years, 281 people have lost their lives in traffic accidents. Charlotte's Department of Transportation investigates every crash that takes a life or results in serious injury. Well, children born into poverty are at risk for dropping out of school, substance abuse, incarceration, and teen parenting. But a unique mentoring program wants to change that narrative and transform the lives of our most vulnerable children. It's called Friends of the Children, a national program that's been in Charlotte for a little more than a year. Carolina Impact's Todd Wallace tells us more.
If the Carolina Panthers need a wide receiver in a few years, 8-year-old Desmond Phillips may be just who they're looking for. Quarterback Eric Newman isn't bad either.
Gun, set, hut.
But for right now, at least, this dynamic duo is tossing aside a chance for gridiron greatness as Eric helps Desmond focus on another kind of team victory.
I mean, the boy carries the paper.
Eric is not just a role model for Desmond, he's his paid mentor, a kind of guardian angel, big brother, and tutor all in one.
When I first started, it was all just relationship building. There wasn't me coming in, hey, let's do this. It was like, all right, let me get to know you first. Let's see what you like.
Eric works for Friends of the Children. The program matches low-income, high-risk children with a guide like Eric. Desmond was introduced to the program by his former principal at Renaissance West STEAM Academy, Aaron Barksdale, who on one sleepless night read an article about the nonprofit organization.
And I sent a text to one of my then board members within the school, and I said, oh my gosh, have you read about this? This would be so great. She said, oh, it's through Thompson. I know the Thompson CEO. And I was like, get a meeting.
Thompson is Thompson Child and Family Focus, the well-known agency recognized for helping at-risk children and families. Erica Reed is a director.
This particular program is a response to facing intergenerational poverty and breaking that cycle.
If you're ready, touch the top of your head. If you're ready.
Friends of the Children came to Charlotte a couple of years ago. Erica says Thompson collaborated with the agency due to results from a recent study showing Charlotte ranked last among 50 large cities for economic mobility.
If a child is born in a particular area, they're most likely to stay in poverty simply by the area that they live in, which is unacceptable.
Children at Renaissance West Team Academy chosen for the program come from dire conditions.
Academics, social emotional, levels of trauma, have they experienced or witnessed domestic violence? Or do they have a parent that had been incarcerated? Or is there just instability in their life that is causing them to react and respond in a way where they need intervention?
The kids are given a mentor beginning in kindergarten. And so far, those involved say Friends of the Children has lived up to its name.
That's because the commitment these mentors make is not for 1, 2, or even 3 years. It's for 12 and a half years through high school. And the slogan is, no matter what.
Meaning, if a child drops out of school or is even incarcerated, their mentor still stays with them for those 12+ years. Friends of the Children started in 1993 in Portland, Oregon, and is located in 20 cities across the country and 1 in the United Kingdom. According to the agency, 83% of mentored children graduate high school, 93% avoid the juvenile justice system, and 92% continue their education after high school, serve in the military, or get a job. But mentors like Eric Newman and Clarissa McMurray get to see beyond those numbers.
And we are in the classroom with them. We're out of the classroom with them, just trying to, be a consistent person, because some children, you never know, they may not have consistent people in their lives.
And then over time, using like what I learned from them as far as like what they like, I cater that towards, okay, now we have to do a lesson, but I'll make it interesting to kind of incorporate what you like into what you're learning.
But when you have, again, organizations and partnerships that are willing to be invested, to be a part of your village to support kids, then that'll make the hardest of hard days, which all principals and educators and teachers have had, that makes it like, okay, I can come back tomorrow.
Mentors meet their children each week for 2 hours in school and 2 hours outside of the classroom. On this day, mentees are also enjoying a visit with deputies from the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Department here at the Thompson Center. There are 5 mentors in Charlotte serving 40 children. But Desmond knows that when Eric is with him, their time is theirs alone. And his mom can see that the program is making a difference.
Before, he was having rough days at school, and I didn't think it was going to get better. But with the program, it's helped out a lot.
He helped me understand how to calm down, and how he helps me in school. He helps me understanding what's the rules of school, and he helps me with my work in school, how to do it myself.
These mentors know what maybe Desmond and the other children can sense, if not fully understand, that this hard work is also heart work.
It's all about the heart, man.
Todd joins us in the studio now. What an amazing program. I'm totally taken aback. I've never heard of anyone being a mentor and committing for 12 years.
Right, it is a real commitment. In the story, you may have heard that last line that I had. It's not just hard work, it's heart work. That actually came from the principal who introduced this program to these students that we interviewed. The mentors know what they're getting involved in. It is a real commitment, and there's training that goes along with that commitment. But they get to see it through from beginning to end. Think about it. The tender age of these children, 5 and a half, 6 years of age, through elementary school, through middle school.
Tumultuous middle school.
Exactly, and
Always.
then through high school, okay? So they get to see the beginning, the middle, and the end, and get to see the fruits of their labor, so to speak. For the children, it's important because they have one thing that a lot of kids don't have in these particular areas, and that's consistency. They have a consistent voice, a consistent message of positivity. Someone to tell them, stay on the narrow road, not make that bad left turn or right turn, and that's important too. And I also want to give a shout out to the parents, because these are parents who are saying we need help. Right. And we recognize we need help. So come into my life, the life of my child, and I will trust you to help them become responsible, productive, and successful adults.
You mentioned in your story that these mentors are paid.
Yes.
Remind us again how many mentees they have, and what happens if they change jobs?
Great question. So now they have 40 children and 5 mentors. So that would be an 8-to-1 ratio. They are trained. This isn't just a volunteer program where you come in and offer your time for a summer or for a year. This is an actual job. 4 hours per week per child, 2 hours inside of the classroom, 2 hours outside of the classroom. Inside the classroom, obviously it's going to be about tutoring, making sure that they're behaving well, etc. Outside of the classroom can be an introduction to a museum, going to the park, going to a game, expanding their world and introducing them to different cultures.
So we also saw some amazing statistics in the story that looked pretty impressive. Now those have to be national statistics, right? Because this is newer to the Charlotte region.
Right. Charlotte has had this program for about 2 years. So there is empirical data, because this has been going on since 1993, and that's how you know it's been so successful. It started in Portland, Oregon in '93, expanded also to New York City. Data comes from there, but also some other places too, because there are actually 20 locations in the United States where Friends of the Children is located, and also one in the United Kingdom. So there's a lot of evidence to prove that this works.
Okay, we're running out of time, but what's the next step? If we can only help 40 kids so far, I know the need is far greater than that.
Right. So there's a 5-year plan. Right now, as you said, 40 children, 5 mentors, 8-to-1 ratio. In the next 3 years, depending on the budget, like anything else, they hope to expand to 72 children. That would include the 40 children they have now, and increase the mentors from 5 to 9. That way they're still able to maintain the 8-to-1 ratio.
Todd Wallace, great story. Thanks so much for sharing it with us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, 40 years ago, the Carolina Raptor Center began in Charlotte as a place to treat injured or orphaned birds of prey. In fact, the first patient was a broad-winged hawk. In tonight's One Tank Trip, producer Russ Hunsinger has more on this very special place.
A raptor is a falcon, eagle, owl, or hawk. There's a couple different outliers like the osprey and the harriers, but the 4 main groups are those birds.
I think it's awesome. Just being here, the peregrine falcon was my favorite bird so far. It was super cool.
I love the birds there. Like some birds like talk and they like tweet tweet like other birds do.
The Carolina Raptor Center is the country's largest raptor rehabilitation and medical facility. We see about 1,000 birds a year, and we rehabilitate around 60 to 70% of them back into the wild. Our mission is to ignite inspiration and wonder of the natural world through the rehabilitation and education around birds of prey. On the trail, you'll see up to 40 different varieties of raptors, birds of prey.
Now, falcons are known for their speed, right? The fastest animal in the world is actually the peregrine falcon. We see about 40,000 school kids a year, so we reach a lot of different kids through our education programs, and it's just spreading awareness about how cool raptors are, the importance that they have in our environment, ways that we can help them out ourselves, and inspiring people.
So we take our birds on the road frequently to different organizations, often schools. We'll go to assembly halls and even just classrooms.
What makes this place great is the birds that they have here and how they rescue the birds. And I think it's very nice that they do this.
Most of the birds that we have here come from birds that we were not able to rehabilitate for one reason or another. They lost an eye or their injuries were too extensive to release them back into the wild, although they can still have a good quality of life. We will treat the bird. They can be here anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 months, depending on the extent of their injuries.
My favorite thing was the bald eagle.
Why?
Because it's my favorite raptor.
I hope they take away how important birds are to our environment in the world.
It's important to me that they are well-rounded and that they understand and not only know about birds, but also have experiences with them as well to appreciate what they do for our environment.
There's the horned owl. Now I know why they call it the horned owl, because it has its feathers, and its feathers are like this. They look like horns. It's really cool.
Probably one of the most unique things is how they rehabilitate the peregrine falcon in the front. It's lost one of its wings. Don't know how that happened, but seeing them take care of it and work that out is just really unique.
These guys are really important. Some of their numbers are dropping, and so we want to make sure that we preserve as many of them as we can.
We love what we do here. We love the animals. We love even the trees and just everything about it. And we think that it really reflects when you come out and visit and you see all the wondrous things that make up the natural world. It's infectious. Just come see us.
What a beautiful place. Thanks so much, Russ. The Raptor Center releases about 70% of the birds treated back into the wild. Well, what do you get a woman who has everything? Well, if you're the President of the United States, you look for something uniquely American. Two Carolina craftsmen took the challenge to create something very special, a gift for the Queen. Carolina Impact's Joanne Davis has the details.
John Leake and his son Jay are artisans in the classic sense of the word.
We make one piece at a time for one customer at a time.
They are third and fourth generation master craftsmen, skilled in the reproduction of 18th century furniture. Be it Queen Anne, Chippendale, Hepplewhite, or Sheraton, their customers know the Leakes can recreate their favorite antique style. And they do it the old-fashioned way, which is mostly by hand. But this summer, the Leakes were asked to make something a bit more contemporary.
So we were contacted about the White House needing a special box that they needed on the President and First Lady's official visit over to England to see the Queen.
The White House request came just 10 days before the big trip. And because the Leakes were working on other orders at the time, the request put their two-man operation under tremendous pressure.
First question was, can you do this? And we thought, of course. We're not going to say no. We didn't know how we was going to do it, but we knew we had to do it.
But this would not be an easy job. The White House wanted the box emblazoned with an image of the official residence, made to specific dimensions, and constructed with wood sourced from a tree off the White House lawn.
We think, in working with it, that the particular wood was basswood.
There's likely some symbolism in the type of wood the White House chose to send to the Leakes for the Queen's box. This is basswood, a type of tree native to England, but when brought over to America, seemed to thrive. The Queen's gift box was completed and overnighted to Washington with just enough time to be loaded onto Air Force One. But the Leake family legacy did not start or end with this project.
We're in our 63rd year up here.
The Leakes workshop stands on the original family farm on Route 321 in York, South Carolina. They started in the furniture business in the mid-1950s with John's grandparents, Howard and Zoe Leake, who traded in antiques.
And my dad joined them in the business about 1966.
And it was John's dad, Buddy, who added furniture repair and restoration to the family business. Then John, who upon taking over the business in the 1980s, decided to pivot entirely into furniture making.
Our business has changed a little bit. We're no longer dealing in antiques, but we're the same family in the same location, still messing with furniture. It's just we're making the antiques instead of selling them.
In fact, it was the Leakes' reproduction of an 18th century cellarette, which is a locked and portable liquor cabinet, that likely brought their handiwork to the attention of White House staff. The mahogany piece with its intricate walnut inlay was featured in a 2014 National Magazine competition. Although the father and son duo didn't win, they won over plenty of new customers, many of whom live along the Mid-Atlantic region.
We have quite a bit of furniture in the Washington, D.C. area over the years. Maryland, Virginia, D.C., and about everybody up there is tied into the government somehow or another.
The Leaks believe word of mouth is what helped them secure another government project, this time making dresser boxes for the U.S. State Department.
We just got an email one day about these boxes, and they sent us a picture of one that is in a collection in Washington, but it would be a federal box made post-revolution. That's why it has this eagle in here.
Although the Leaks revised the design of the federal box from the 18th century original, they think their recreation can stand the test of time.
Hopefully our box will be just as handsome and beautiful and patinaed as this in 200 years.
The boxes are presented as gifts by the State Department to visiting dignitaries. But no matter where in the world these boxes end up, they'll always bear their maker's mark.
It says proudly made by hand in York, South Carolina, USA, by John and Jay Leak.
Left, bottom, and
In
right.
watching these men work, you soon realize what's really being built here fits tighter than the joints that hold together this wooden box. It's the relationship between father and son.
Special. You know, like he said, we're lucky.
And their luck continues as business is booming and there is a wait list for their handmade pieces. For Carolina Impact, I'm Joanne Davis reporting.
Thanks so much, Joanne, and welcome to our PBS Charlotte family. So far, the Leaks have delivered 5 dresser boxes to the State Department, with 8 more to go. Among the lucky recipients, the Prime Minister of Australia. Well, that's all we have time for this evening. Thanks so much for joining us. We always appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you back here again next time on Carolina Impact. Good night, my friends.
A production of PBS Charlotte.